Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. In today's video we're going to talk about my labor. I thought it would be fun to have a video in which I tell you guys how my labor went, because it was a fun day and it was a very interesting day and I had no idea what to expect, so I had no expectations whatsoever. I kind of left it blank as well, just so that I was ready for whatever would come my way. She was born on the 13th of March, but the process of it started the day before. On March 12th, we just did our thing. I was actually already over time. The due date was originally March 4th. I expected to go over time, but I didn't expect it to take that long. It was still in the fine period, but it felt like a long wait. You know, every day you wake up and you're like, oh, it still didn't start. On March 12th, we just did our thing. Connor and I went to the store and we stepped into the car around 6 p.m. And I knew it was 6 p.m. because the stores were closing. And I felt something, I don't know, something wet. I didn't know if that was my water breaking. I know it's not always the movie big splash thing, but it also felt bigger than uncontrollable pee. If you know what I mean. We stepped into the car and we went home, and I just changed my underwear and just went on with my life, because I actually didn't expect it to start because I've been waiting so long that I just whatever. But then it kind of happened again later that evening, but I still wasn't sure. So before I went to bed, because you know I didn't have anything else except for that, I put on a pad so that I could catch it the next time it would happen, and also because I was tired of having to change my underwear every time it happened. That's what I did, and then we just went to bed because honestly nothing else had happened really, so you know, I thought I would get some sleep while I still could, which I actually didn't get much sleep because I did have some type of Braxton Hicks. They were more intense than the previous Braxton Hicks that I'd had, but they weren't really contractions yet. They were fairly painful, but you know, I could still talk through them, so they were definitely still Braxton Hicks. But yeah, I was having Braxton Hicks contractions and I kept on waking up throughout the night because of them. And so at 10 to 8 in the morning, I just decided, you know what, I'm gonna track them with the contraction timer to see how far apart they are. They were 5 minutes apart, so at around 9 o'clock, I decided to call the midwife and just ask her what I should do, because we were supposed to have 2 appointments that day. At 11, we were supposed to be at the hospital for a CTG scan. I had been having those every like 2-3 days, which is insane, but because I was over time, they wanted to make sure that the baby was also still okay in there. So I had a CTG scan every so often. So that was scheduled at 11, and then I had a midwife appointment scheduled at 12:40 in the afternoon. So I just called the midwife before to make sure that, you know, everything was okay. The thing that really made me want to call the midwife was the fact that when I went to the bathroom in the morning, just before I called the midwife, I checked and I had actually leaked a bit more and it was a bit pinkish, which for my research could definitely indicate that it was my waters breaking. It just wasn't a big splash, so I wasn't sure. So I called the midwife, and from what I was telling her, she wasn't sure either, so she asked me if I could come in at 10. So I woke up Conrad and we got ready for the day, kind of, not really, I was tired. And yeah, off we went to the midwife so she could check if my waters had actually broken. She was checking, but she wasn't sure, which is going to be a red thread throughout this story. But she wasn't sure, so she said, you know what, just go to your CTG scan and I'll ask the people there at the hospital to check if your waters have broken too. Because apart from them checking, they can also do a test that indicates whether it's my waters breaking, yes or no. The main reason why this was important to check is because it was the first time at 6 p.m. the previous day. When your waters break, they want to actually have your labor start within 24 hours because of risk of infection. So that was kind of the reason why there was a bit of a stress situation attached to it, but it wasn't really stress. Off we went. We actually, it's really funny. We still went to the store in between, because between 10 and 11, we were done at the midwife's very soon. So we just went to the store real quick because I had to drop off a package. Someone had bought something secondhand off of me, and I just, if that was my labor starting, I wanted to make sure that that package had been sent out so that I didn't have to think about it anymore. So we actually went to the store and did that, which was hilarious, knowing that I was still having those Braxton Hicks contractions, but they were getting more intense throughout the day. So at several moments throughout the day, and especially in the store, I had to just stop walking because I had to wait a beat before I could continue walking because of a contraction, which is, I don't know, I find it hilarious thinking back. So yeah, then at 11 we were at the hospital, did the usual CTG scan, which takes forever. You're just sitting there and it's warm. So Conrad and I were playing a game. You can kind of see a short vlog of what we did that day. As a short, I posted it as a YouTube short, so you can watch it wherever the eye is. It was a fun day, and I like that video a lot because her first cries are on there as well. Yeah, CTG scan, we waited, played a game, and what I thought was really fun was with the CTG scan, they track the heartbeat of the baby, they track your heartbeat, and they track any type of contractions. I was looking at the screen, and the contractions, the Braxton Hicks contractions, were definitely heavier than they were the previous CTG scans. So I could see the number go up, and it was just, I don't know, it felt really good knowing that what I felt, the more intense pain, was also shown on the screen, which is why I filmed it, because at some point I reached a 90, which is definitely fairly high. Compared to actual contractions, they were not that bad. It felt very rewarding knowing that what I felt was shown on the screen. So yeah, that went on for a long time. CTG scans are at least half an hour, and then afterwards they checked me to see if it was my waters breaking, but they weren't sure either, which is when they started doing the test, which took a long time. The test actually said that it was negative, so it was not my waters breaking. Afterwards, another midwife said it probably was my waters breaking. It was probably a false negative, which hardly ever happens, but that's what the midwife said. Probably was. But yeah, because it was negative at the time, I felt really happy that there was no pressure from the healthcare system and it could just start on its own whenever it wanted. Because if it didn't happen within 24 hours after your waters breaking, then they have to induce, make sure that the baby comes out, which I definitely didn't want to happen. So yeah, it was negative, we were happy, and we just went home. I think we were home at around like 1:15, 1:30 p.m. So it was afternoon, and we had barely eaten anything because we woke up and then had to go to the midwife's office. So Conrad went and got us some breakfast slash brunch slash lunch because it was 1:30. So we sat down, had our usual morning, but a bit later, and started having some food. But you know, my contractions were definitely picking up, and at some point I felt something. It was almost like a balloon breaking, and I felt a gush of water, definitely more than the previous 3 times. I thought, okay, this is probably my waters breaking. This was around 2:15, so only like 45 minutes after we had come home. At that point, contractions were really real. Those were actual contractions. It started immediately. The waters breaking happened combined with a contraction, and ever since then I had contractions, but it still takes a while sometimes. My mom had a very fast labor, so I didn't want to track it from the start. But again, I didn't know if I would have a labor like my mom or if I would be an exception and have a very long labor. So I started tracking them immediately, and barely half an hour later, I sent a screenshot with a message to my midwife on WhatsApp, and I said, you know, these contractions are about 4 minutes apart now, and they last an average of 1 minute, and it took 3 minutes, and then she called me. Based on my description, she was like, okay, you know what, I will come to you and check how far along you are. So she hung up and drove towards us, which took a while because we live across the border, so it's about a 20-minute drive from their office to our home. But I actually don't know where she was, if she was in the office or not. I don't know at what time she actually arrived because I was having those regular contractions, so I was just trying to pass the time and go through the motions. However, all I know is that within an hour we were in the car on the way to the hospital. When she checked me, I was having those contractions as well, so it was hard for me to have her check me. I didn't like that. That was one of my least favorite things. But when she checked, I was about 6 to 7 centimeters dilated already, so I was definitely having a very fast labor. I did not like the checking up on me because I had to lie in a position so that she could check me, but it was such an uncomfortable position that I got so nauseous. And if there's anything I hate, it's throwing up. I wouldn't say scared, but I'm almost scared of it. I hate throwing up, and it felt like I was about to throw up. So yeah, I did not like the checking up, but I was happy to hear that I was 6 to 7 centimeters dilated because it meant that we were allowed to go to the hospital. So if you didn't know, my original hope was that I could have a home birth, which is very common in the Netherlands, but because we live across the border and on the first floor, that was not an option for me. But apart from home birth, the next thing that was really important to me was having a water birth, and that's also possible in the hospital. And so the midwife called the hospital to check if there were any baths available, like rooms with a bath, and there was a room with a tub, so I was really happy. And so off to the hospital we went, which was also one of my least favorite moments because contractions are definitely worse when you are in a car that has unexpected bumps. Are you hungry? Is that a yes? Okay, I'll be back. So we're back. So off to the hospital we went to kickstart this labor thing. I was really excited about the tub. That was a dream come true. So yeah, we went to the hospital, which again took about 25 minutes because it's a 25-minute drive. And also I told Conrad not to drive too fast because the bumps were not good for my contractions. When we arrived at the hospital, I was wheeled into the hospital, which was awesome. Actually, it wasn't, because those wheelchairs are rock solid, not comfortable, cold, and they don't make contractions any easier. But once we were in the hospital and in the room, it was really nice. The lights were dimmed, so I'm gonna give you a little spoiler. We didn't end up using the light that was packed for the hospital bag because the dimmed lights were actually just fine. It was a very nice temperature in the room, and the tub was already filled with water, which was awesome. I was still debating whether I had to get in right away or wait a bit, but in the end, I decided that it's probably best if I just go in, because I'd heard that sitting in the tub would help the contractions. I went and got into the tub, which was awesome. It definitely did help the contractions a little bit, but not really as much as I had expected, but it did help a little. The midwife said, yeah, you know, you're gonna have these contractions, just work through them like you've been doing. You're doing really well, and in about an hour, I'll come back and check how far along you are, which I was not excited for, but you know, I just rolled with it and focused on the contractions. But I made my midwife doubt herself apparently, because in between these contractions, I was just having little chats with Conrad and laughing along. Because, you know, what else are you gonna do? Focus on the pain that you have when the contraction is happening? I don't know. I just thought, you know, I might as well just focus on something else. Midwife went somewhere else. She said, I'll just do some work, have you do your thing, and I'll be back. If you need me, then press this button. So I just went and did my thing. And it was apparently less than an hour later, because those contractions started turning into push contractions. So I felt the urge to push. But those were heavy as well. So Conrad definitely noticed that they were more painful. So after 2 of those push contractions and working through them, he was like, should we call the midwife? And I was like, you can, but you know, I wasn't gonna move. I was in that tub and I was gonna stay there. Conrad pressed the button and midwife came back. She called the maternity nurse, which is also a thing in the Netherlands, to help assist with the birth. And then half an hour later, apparently the hairs of this beautiful baby were already visible. So that was 10 to 6, and at 6:07, this beautiful baby girl was born. So it went really, really quickly, and everything was just in time, because at 10 to 6 the maternity nurse arrived. So she was there for less than 20 minutes before she arrived. It went really quickly. I had no clue what time it was. You could have told me that it was 3 in the afternoon or 3 at night, and I would have believed you either way. I had no perception of time whatsoever. At one point during the time in the tub, I was also having that extreme nausea, which I hate that feeling. I was just trying to get through it all. Overall, I think it went really well and fairly fast. Anyway, 6:07, she was born, and I got to hold her, which people are always telling you, oh, you're gonna feel this rush of hormones and emotions, and you're gonna feel this and you're gonna feel that. Honestly, I didn't feel anything. I was like, what on earth did I just do? And I was just so tired and exhausted. So yeah, I held her, and we got to have some very nice skin-to-skin contact. Got to wait a bit before the umbilical cord was cut. Conrad got to cut it, which was awesome. And then after it was cut, Conrad got to hold baby girl for a little while, which was really nice, because then Conrad also got some skin-to-skin contact with her. And whilst Conrad was holding Michaela, I was helped by the maternity nurse and the midwife onto the bed out of the tub, which was sad because the tub was nice and warm, and outside it was cold comparatively. But I got a very nice, thick, warmed blanket over me. Midwife immediately helped me deliver the placenta, which went fairly easy, and then afterwards she immediately checked me to see if I had ripped anywhere, and she put in a couple stitches, which honestly wasn't too bad. Yeah, that was it. After that, the midwife had to go again. Not before, of course, measuring her and weighing her. Afterwards, I also got to hold her again, and she immediately knew where to go to find milk. Well, there was no milk yet, but you know, she knew where to go. So that was awesome. And then the midwife had to go again. It was apparently a very busy night that night, because there were 2 other women also going into labor that very evening. So poor midwife. The maternity nurse stayed with us in the hospital for a little while. She explained a couple things. Conrad got to hold her again after I got to hold her again for a little while, because I was still full of gunk from the labor, so I had to take a shower. So the maternity nurse helped me get to the shower, sit and shower, which it was a very weird shower. The pressure was all over the place, and so was the heat. So it was cold, warm, cold, warm, cold, warm, which was an interesting experience. But you know, there was water, which was nice. And then she helped me get dressed again and walk to the wheelchair, which again was very uncomfortable. Whilst Conrad was holding her, I just sat with Conrad, and at the same time the maternity nurse was cleaning up around us, preparing the room for us to leave. And so she also packed all of our stuff, which was awesome. We didn't have to pack anything. We had the best maternity nurse at the delivery, also the best midwife, of course, but you know, I knew that going in because we had the best midwife's office helping us through the entire pregnancy. So there was really no going wrong there. At around 9 o'clock, we left the hospital, which is only 3 hours after she was born. And we went home and started this fun journey where I don't get any sleep. It was very interesting. I had no clue what to expect from this labor. I had no clue if I would have a similar labor comparatively to my mom's, or if I would have a way longer labor. I didn't know how I would handle it, because I feel like my pain threshold is not that high, but this labor was actually fairly okay for me to do. Apparently the midwife's office had full faith in me because they kept on saying how they weren't worried about me at all and they knew I could do it. So it's nice that they had more faith in me than I had in myself. But yeah, it was a very interesting experience. Again, you know, these entire pregnancy, labor, and also postpartum period, you can read up about it all you want, but in the end, the experience you have is completely your own, which is awesome, but also very daunting when you're in it. But anyway, I think I had a wonderful labor. It was intense, but very, very rewarding. And we have this beautiful baby girl now, and she's the best thing ever. That was my labor. I hope you enjoyed hearing about my story. And if you have any questions about anything, pregnancy, labor, postpartum, definitely let me know. And I hope to see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.